Welcome, I'm Sianna, and I'm going to tell another story today. Just remember that we are all mythic beings, and whenever you hear a story from anywhere around the world, if you can just remember that you're every character in the story, then insight will naturally emerge as you hear the story. So this is a story about Ganesha, and about how he got his broken tusk and ultimately what he does with it. So one day, Ganesha is riding along underneath the full moonlight upon his little mouse, Motica. And as he's riding along on Motica, he stops at a bakery, which is one of his favorite things to do, and he buys all these ladus. Just think of like the most delicious dessert that you love and put all the ingredients together, and then that's called a ladu. So he's walking under the full moonlight with his plate of ladus, riding upon his little mouse, and out of nowhere, a snake comes across the front of the pathway. It's actually the Kundalini Shakti. And the snake goes across the front of the pathway. The mouse, you know what happens with mice and snakes. The mouse gets very afraid, rears up like this. Ganesha falls backwards, his plate of sweets drops onto the ground, his belly splits open, and in fact one of his names is Lambodara. It means the one who is the great pot-bellied one, the one who holds the entire universe within. And so his whole belly splits open, he loses all his sweets, he's very upset, and the full moon is watching all of this and finds it absolutely hysterical. Now, the thing to know about the moon is that at this point in history, the moon is always full. That is the only way that the moon appears. So the moon is laughing and laughing and laughing, and Ganesha says, "Why are you laughing at me? I just fell off my mouse." And he takes one of his tusks and he breaks it. And then he takes it and he hurls it faster than the speed of light to the moon, and the pointy part of the tusk pierces the moon, and the full moon now fractures and fragments into all the different phases of the moon. And this is how the moon got all of her moon cycles. So now the one moon is fractured into the diversity of the many, just like the one spirit fractures itself and opens itself into the diversity of many. And so now Ganesha goes about his life and he has this broken tusk, you know, and he thinks, what am I supposed to do with a broken tusk? And maybe sometimes he feels even like, why did I do that? Now, at a certain point, there's a great sage by the name of Vyasa. And Vyasa is about to narrate the greatest epic of all time called the Mahabharata, 100,000 verses long. And for him to narrate this great epic, he needs a scribe. So he asked himself, who would be smart, intelligent, curious, filled with inquiry, and could keep up with me and could write down this epic as I narrate it? And immediately he thought of Ganesha. And so he asked Ganesha, "Ganesha, would you please be the scribe for the great epic, the Mahabharata?" And Ganesha, after a little bit of negotiation, of course, Ganesha says yes, and then he realizes at that moment that the thing that he has been carrying around that he thought was the broken part of himself can now become the very aspect of himself to become the instrument to create beauty in the world. And so he takes his broken tusk, and then he takes a big well of ink, and he dips his tusk into the ink, and he begins to scribe for the Mahabharata. So this is the story of how really yoga is transformation. And there's always going to be parts of ourselves that we feel are broken, that we wish were different in some way. But if we really accept ourselves fully and accept whatever arises, even things that we consider to be past mistakes, and we just be with it and we move through our practices, ultimately we will find the way that the places that seem and feel broken to us can become the empowered places where we have greater opening and can make an offering to the world. Jai Ganesha, Namaste.